Hello, geographers. All right, in this video, gonna get into really all we're gonna do. We're gonna open up ArcGIS. That's really it. So the idea is, the first week of the semester, you got access to ArcGIS Desktop. You have it on your own computer, or maybe you're at work or at some location where you're playing around with the software. So I wanted you to get access to it in some way. Now, we're just going to open it up. And I'm going to point out a few key things. All right? And then in another video, in a video that will follow this one, what I'm going to do is we're actually going to pull in data, show you how to do that, and show you how to make an actual map. You'll be making your first map this week here. But for this video, it's simply, let's open this thing up. Let's look at some of this, because I'll be honest with you, it's weird. This software is not intuitive. It's not the most user-friendly stuff, so this is what we're going to do. All right, so clicked on. Try to speak through this too so you know what I'm doing here, but I left-clicked on the start window thing right here, started scrolling down in my programs to get to this ArcGIS folder, and you can see it says new because I just loaded this on, got the latest version on my computer, so this is also what you'll most likely be seeing here. So you left click on that to open up the folder, and when you look in here, might be overwhelming. You're going to see a lot of stuff inside here. And I should say, too, a few things. You're not going to necessarily see the same things on your computer as you do on mine. Things like ArcGIS Pro. I have loaded up. It's saved in here, but you might not have that, depending on exactly what you've downloaded, what you're doing. And as I've said before, do keep in mind that you don't need ArcGIS Pro for this class. We're working completely in ArcGIS Desktop. The real silliness here, the Pro thing, it's just what everybody calls everything these days. The irony, of course, being that the real, the old school pros, we all use desktop. We don't need no stinking ArcGIS Pro, even though I'm imagining desktop's going to be phased out eventually. It's a whole deal, but don't worry about it. Here's what I'm saying. Also, said I loaded the latest stuff on my computer, this 10.8.1. That's the latest as I'm recording this presently, right? You might have something else. I'm not going to re-record this video every single semester if there aren't significant changes, right? If ArcMap really starts to change, or ArcGIS Desktop really starts to change, or any of that stuff, I'll do a new one. But if you have like 10.9 or whatever it winds up being, don't worry. It'll all be the same if you're watching this video. All right. So in here, we have all these different programs. There's just two things here worth mentioning. Most of these other ones you're not going to need to worry about this semester, if ever. All right, but first one worth mentioning is this ArcGIS Administrator. Just going to left click on that. Yes. All right, yes, it can mess with my device. In here, this is simply for, I think you might have seen this in the, how to install ArcGIS video as well. You probably did. I probably went through it, but just in case I didn't, if you're not remembering or whatever, but if you're having any issues with opening up ArcMap, if it's saying something like not, currently available for use, or not licensed for use, or something about a license or something like that, you want to go in here and see what's going on. And the main thing, what you've got, the big issue you have, is if you're using this whole ArcGIS for student use or personal use or whatever, keep in mind that you've got this single use license, not a concurrent use license. So make sure that's set. And if you have issues where it's not authorized, the other thing to do would be to mess with that. Okay, so that's just if you're having issues getting in there, that ArcGIS Administrator, that's going to help you out. All right, I'm going to cancel out of that. Go back in here. And so the real thing, the thing you're going to be looking at most times here is just ArcMap. So left click on that and it will load up here. And this is another thing if you've installed stuff to make sure, because I do have students who get like a trial version of ArcGIS Pro and they go to load it up and they start to try to do the work and it doesn't work. What you're seeing when you're opening stuff up, it should look exactly like what you're seeing on my screen right here. Right? That's the goal. And hopefully it will load. It seems to every 3 times I open it up, it takes like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's just the way it works. Other times it takes like 5 seconds. So we'll see. Oh, there we go. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so this should open up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to check this do not show this dialog in the future right down here. Okay, this screen, this getting started screen, this is garbage. I don't know why they still do this, because all it does is it makes you click more, right? As you go through and you look like a rookie when this comes up. So hit this do not show this dialog in the future and then hit OK. All right, which means the next time you open up ArcMap, it's just going to take you straight here. You're going to look like a professional when you have this pop up. Okay, so that's important to do. It's not really important to do. It's just something that always bugs me. And I think it'll save you time if you get rid of some of these quirky little weird things. Another thing, mine pops up here, fully maximized, or whatever the Windows speak is. If yours opens up and it's, a little screen here, click this. Is it maximize. Take the full screen. Okay, that's that's an important thing to do, because quite often I've always seen with students, I don't know, it just opens up like this and they don't want to change anything or don't worry about it or what. I don't know, maybe like the way it looks or whatever. No, you want to have as much of this space right here as you possibly can. You want it to be big. You want to be able to see things. That's where you're going to be doing a lot of your work as you move forward. So maximize that. And here we are. Here is ArcMap. Now I know this can be daunting when you first open it up, especially if you do it by yourself. There's just a whole lot of white space, a lot of mysterious buttons and things in here. Some of it, might make sense. Things like a magnifying glass or the, save buttons or things like that. That all makes sense, right? But other things, maybe not. We'll work through all of these. So don't panic as you open any of this stuff up. All right, a few key things here. Number one, we have these toolbars right here. I'm going to get into a little bit about these toolbars, how we can move them around, how we can change them, things like that. What you'll start with when you open this up is what they call the standard toolbar, and then I think this is just called the tools toolbar. And what I always do when I'm working with this stuff, I don't know why, it's just what I do. I like to move this tools toolbar to a specific spot. And so what I did to move this was I just left click and held. Put this back up here. See these 4 little dots right there? Just left click and hold, and you can move it around wherever. And what we can do, you can see, we can dock it in a whole host of spots. Let's see if I can pull it off. It can be such a pain. Oh, you're going to be difficult. Okay, we're going to put it over here for now. I like to have my tools toolbar over to the side because this one is the one I go to most often. So I just like it to be separated from other stuff. I'll put all the other ones up here. And that way, as I add more of these toolbars, this stuff doesn't get lost. You can do that. You don't have to do that. It's all personal preference stuff. But as you can see, you can move these things anywhere. Again, just by left clicking and holding. All right. So you'll figure it out as you start working, where you like to have the stuff, where it's easiest for you to access and all that. Okay, if you come up here to this just empty gray area and right click, all right, you have this list of all the possible toolbars. So you can click on any of these things here. Like, let's do draw. You left click on that, up comes the draw toolbar. All right, and you'll see too, if you right click up here, once I've got that out there, it's checked. Right, so if I have a bunch and I'm not sure if I'm not finding something, I can see if it should be visible right here. All right, I can move this anywhere I want. And let's say too, if I made a mistake, right? Oh, I didn't want this one. You just hit the X and it's gone. And if oh no, I did want it, you come back here and you click that. All right, and the draw tool, this is one we'll use in the future. So I'll just leave this one here for now. Feel free, you can explore these things. I'll point out the ones that we need, but those are our toolbars. A lot of this stuff too, I mean, you can access some of it through this stuff up here, but these toolbars, it makes life a little easier as you're going through, and you'll familiarize yourself with that. Okay, so there's that. The next key thing we want to talk about are some of these windows. Okay, this first one here, the table of contents window, this is going to be incredibly important when we start adding in data layers, which we'll start in the next video. We'll show you how to make sense of this and work through some of these different things here. But this is our table of contents window. And one thing that students, for whatever reason, do all the time, at least when I'm working with them in a classroom or a computer lab or whatever, is they close this. I don't know. I think sometimes you panic and you see an X and you just hit it but then you go, oh God, where did this go? Where is my table of contents? And panic ensues. Don't worry about it. You can go into Windows right here, left click on that, left click on table of contents, and it comes back. All right, you're gonna be okay. So yeah, I bring this up because students do that all the time. All right, a few other things here. We have catalog or art catalog. Now I just hovered over the little button or whatever right here, and it popped up there. Another way to access it is clicking right there. And then if you hit Windows, you can hit catalog there. So there are different ways to get at it. In fact, you'll see there are like 4 different ways to do just about anything in ArcMap, and it becomes a matter of preference. What do you just get used to doing? What's the most comfortable thing? That kind of stuff, right? There's no real right or wrong way to access most of this stuff. It's just what you like to do. All right. So Arc Catalog it's like the File Explorer in Windows or Finder in a Mac or whatever. It's just where you can see what files you have on your computer. All right, but Arc Catalog it's specific to GIS data, and that's got some pros. There's some good reasons to use catalog, and as we'll see, there's some cons. There's some things that are just ridiculous when you're trying to mess around with this stuff. And you'll, like I said before, with a lot of this stuff, you'll see different things on your computer when you open this up than what you see on, say, my computer. One issue that ArcGIS has, and this is mind-boggling why they've never fixed this or addressed this or whatever, but what you do is you have to tell it where to look on your computer. So it doesn't know, what you have, if you have a desktop or downloads folder or a disk drive or any of that kind of stuff. It's quite ridiculous. It just, is. You might see 1 or 2 of these things in here, but quite often what you need to do is point it in a direction. And if you need to do that, and I'll show you how to do this as we move forward if we actually need to do it. But if you're not seeing something in here, go up to this Connect to Folder button. And if you click on that, what you can do is you can come in here and tell it exactly where you want this thing to look. right? So, I already have desktop on there, but maybe I want it to, I want to make sure it's looking at the desktop, and then I would hit OK. And when I do that, let's do this. Actually, I don't have that. Okay, here, I'll do this. Okay, so right here, we go there, and this, oh no, it is on there. Well, let me just hit OK. It was already there, but this will pop up. Okay, that's the idea. And then you're able to actually see files and folders and all of that. All right, so we'll work with Arc Catalog. Like I said, in the next video, we'll start bringing in data, but this is going to be useful to understand how this works and to start working with it. So we'll use Arc Catalog quite a bit. And it used to be a case of where it was like a standalone program, I don't know, a decade ago or whenever. I mean, it's been a while, but now all of this is incorporated in here, which kind of goes to the idea that we're not going to be working outside of ArcMap that often with the stuff that we do here, and some of the improvements that ESRI has done is to do stuff like this, to make it so you don't have to leave to go into a separate program. You can do a lot of this work just right from within. All right, so that's our catalog. Okay, another thing, in fact, let me just close that. You can see my button disappeared there. It doesn't really matter because I can just click there, right? If I need to get back to it, no big deal. And the other thing, another window that I'll pull up here, is what we call Arc Toolbox. And it's thinking this is interesting. I don't know why it's so confused here. Hopefully it won't crash. It might, and that's a lesson. Okay, good, it worked. But I'll continue to reiterate this as we move forward. But honestly, when you are working in here, hit save repeatedly, almost like in an OCD kind of way. I click the save button, which is right here. I click this all the time, right? Or, you can click Control S. You can do that if that's how you roll. But I'm just always like every few things I'll do something in ArcMap, I come up and hit save. Why? Because this software is so unstable. It's gotten better since I've started working in GIS, but it's still ridiculous how many times the whole thing just crashes. So you see the little spinning circle thing and your heart just sinks, and you go, I've been working for hours and I don't know when I last saved, and if this crashes, I lose those hours of work, right? It's gonna happen to you. So the best thing to do is just keep hitting save, so when it does inevitably crash, you're okay, right? You just have, you lost like 2 minutes of work or whatever. All right, so there's a little life lesson right there, folks. Okay, so our toolbox, this has the tools, the GIS tools, the geoprocessing tools, these things that really make GIS fantastic. This is how you're able to manipulate data, mess with it, ask questions, set up elaborate ways, methods, and ways in which you're going to study the data, right? So there's a lot in here. We're going to hit just a handful of these things. There are plenty of there are these toolboxes I have not yet explored. Why? Because it's not the kind of work I've done, right? But we'll get in here. We'll mess with these things. So you've got these different toolboxes and tool sets, and then the tools themselves. There's a lot. So you feel free to click in here, mess around with this stuff, if you want now, but I'll definitely be showing you some of these key important ones as we move forward. And as you continue to take more GIS classes, do more of this work, you'll learn more of these things in here. All right. And so one thing I like to do, if I left click and hold and drag it around, you see all these different options here. I like to put this docket right over here next to the table of contents. That way I can still see what's going on in my data frame here. But this is fixed, and that's just what I do. And let's see, now that I have that there, no, it still doesn't want to put a toolbox or tool bar. Oh, okay, all right, forget it. What I usually do is have this right here, but it's it's fussy. So forget about it. All right, so I'm just getting this set up how I like to have it. I'll go ahead and close that. And now it should be, if I click on this, yeah, it pops right back there every single time. And again, another thing I can often do is access this stuff. Oops, it's frozen now. Okay, see, this is unstable. Luckily, I haven't done any work in it. You know what, forget it. But I'm just saying, you can access this stuff from a variety of places. Yeah, so those are two key things. There are a few other windows I'll show you down the road as we continue to work with this stuff, but I just wanted to point out some of those things there. Okay, and then also where I want customize here. So in here, okay, at customize, you have this extensions option. And so as you load it up, ArcMap, I assume in the video I told you, load all these extensions as well. I don't know how much I told you about it because I made that video last semester, the semester before, or whatever. But these extensions, these are basically additions onto ArcMap. So ArcMap can do a lot of stuff, but there's certain things, really it's frankly just ESRI realized they could charge you extra money to be able to do. All right, so all these extensions, I don't know what the current prices are, but historically it's been like for the basic version of ArcMap, it's like, that $1,500, something along those lines, $1,500 for the basic stuff. What we're working with, if you're using that for personal use thing, it's the advanced license, which starts at about $14,000, or again, has historically. It's been a while since I've had to be in charge of pricing this stuff out. But then these extensions, they would charge you another $2,500, whether you had the basic or the advanced version, to be able to run. So the fact that with this personal use thing, they give you access to all of them, that's pretty cool. Right? That's a nice thing to have. I mean, they charge way too much for this stuff in the first place, but as students, as people just playing around with it, trying to learn it, it's really nice to have access to this. But so what you had to do, you had to install it when you did that initial install. Then you had to authorize it, right, as you're setting all this up. And if you didn't authorize it, you can go back into Desktop or ArcGIS Administrator or whatever it's called these days, and you can go through that. But then once you've done all that, in order to be able to use this, you need to come in and click it. Actually have to turn it on. Okay, that's just what you have to do. I think it's a way, the reason they don't default to this is if you're working with these concurrent licenses, you're working in an office, maybe you only have like 2 licenses of, 3D analyst or spatial analyst or whatever amongst, 10 people, right? With the idea that you can't afford to just buy everybody a copy of this software. So you have, 1 or 2 floating concurrent licenses that you can let people turn on when they need it, turn off when they don't, right? I think that's why it doesn't automatically do that. But just be aware, if you want to play with any of this stuff, and we're not going to do in this intro class, I don't think I have it planned to play with any of this, but I recommend you look at it. And in future classes, I do have students mess around with this. I'm just going to turn on the 3 that I tend to play around with now, just so I don't have to worry about it. But feel free. You can turn all of these things on and just hit close, and then they're ready to go. So something to think about here, even though we're not going to really play with it right now. All right, so there's that. And then the last thing I'm going to point out in this video is this difference in data view and layout view. Okay, so data view, and it's kind of hard to tell because we don't have data in here yet. We'll be working with this in the next video though. But data view is where you're bringing in the data, you're messing around with it, you're asking these questions, you're changing, anything from symbology to projections to whatever. All this stuff we're going to be doing. But this is where you're doing the initial work, right? The hardcore geography. Layout view, on the other hand, if you left click on that, this is where you're doing your cartographic work. Right? This is where you're turning the data and your final, version of the data, all right, whatever you've done to change them, whatever GIS stuff you've been doing, this is where you can actually turn it into a finished product. All right? Whether you're going to sorry about the dogs. My dog and the neighbor dog, they love each other, as you can tell. So anyway, I'm sure it'll stop soon. No, almost. Okay. And all right. We're good. Sounds like mine won. Yeah, it's living in the country. That's what happens. All right. So we bring in here. This is where we're actually going to make the the map itself, and I'm going to show you how to do all of this stuff in the next time. But you note when we click over here, we have this layout toolbar show up. I'll just put it here for now. Figure out where I want all this stuff later down the road. But I'll be showing you exactly how to, use these different toolbars, the difference between, say, this magnifying glass zoom in and this one right here, all that key stuff. But I just wanted to point out this whole idea of data view, right here versus layout view. And you notice when I go back to data view, a lot of these gray out because you can't really use them in data view. But once you go into layout view, that's where it's all there, ready to go, right? And this is where we're going to be making some gorgeous map products, some beautiful examples of visual display and all that. All right, so that's that. I think that's enough for now, but hopefully you've been able to open this up. All of this stuff, it looks like what I'm showing you. If it doesn't, well, we got to figure that out. All right, because as we move forward, you're not going to be able to do this stuff. All right, so if you're having any license issues, technical issues, if you got the wrong software, whatever it might be, got to figure that out now. All right, get that done now. Contact me through Canvas or my email, if you need to, but also remember that when it comes to the technical aspects, talking to ESRI's tech support, that can be the better move. But feel free to let me know if you're having issues. Okay? All right. And then, like I said, the next video, we're going to start doing some actual GIS. It's going to be fantastic. So get ready.